This is Adam with Global AZ Media. I'm on the phone with David Ellefson of Megadeth and Metal Legions, as well as Ellefson Coffee Co. and EMP Label Group. And we're going to talk a little bit about the 5-year anniversary of Metal Legions, as well as the Phoenix show this Wednesday at the Van Buren, and go a little bit over about his new projects coming up, as well as the Megadeth cruise, and some other fun stuff. Stay tuned. First of all, I'd like to say thanks for taking the time out.
Yeah.
I know you're always busy with all your different mini projects going on. So
Yeah. You're welcome.
So anyways, let's see. You guys got a show coming up here on Wednesday for Metal Legions out at the Van Buren.
Right.
Let's do a little backtrack first. Give me a little insight on Metal Legions, since some people probably don't know this band. It's still, I guess, kind of fairly new, 4-ish years old.
Yep.
But
Yep.
of course, people don't know who you are by now. Dave Ellefson of Megadeth and also Metal Legions. So let's see. Give me a little backside on Metal Legions. I know you guys started in about 2014 with Mark. I think he brought you on first.
Yeah, well, we had really kind of started, the deeper origins are Frank Bello and I from Anthrax when we were doing the big four shows with Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and Anthrax. We were doing some bass clinics for a bass amp company called Harkey, and Mark Mengi was the artist relations marketing director for Harkey. And that was where we met, and we expanded that into a thing called Metal Masters, which was a clinic kind of / all-star concert concept that we did in New York and LA. And as Mark transitioned out of his position with Harkey, summer of 2014, he and I talked on the phone about continuing the whole concept that we had, and we renamed it Metal Allegiance, and an opportunity came up for us to debut the group on the Motorhead's motorboat, their voyage cruise that they did in 2014. So that was where we launched it, and then from there we had so much fun. You know, basically we all share the same record collection because we're all about the same age. We all grew up in the same genre of thrash metal, and we decided to go to Mike Portnoy's house and make a record, and that album came out in 2015, and that defined me, Mark Mengi, Mike Portnoy, and Alex Skolnick as the four, we call them the core four, the principals of the band. And as we make records and as we do live shows, we invite different guests to join us, different singers, guitar players. Here on this tour, that ironically, this is our 5th anniversary, which is why we're calling it that, because we have 2 albums and an EP out, which is pretty difficult to do, especially with so many, everybody being in big famous bands and everybody having full schedules. But we've managed to really turn this into a real group rather than just sort of an all-star one-off thing. And this tour that we're doing this week to celebrate the 5th anniversary is Phoenix, LA, Vegas, and San Francisco. So it's the 4 of us plus John Bush and Troy Sanders and Chuck Billy on vocals, and also Phil Demmel on guitar. And the particular show here in Phoenix is really cool because not only is it that lineup, but we've invited Max Cavalera to join us because he co-wrote a song on the new record called Power Drunk Majesty, and the song he wrote is called Voodoo of the Godsend.
Right.
And we're also invited the Flotsam and Jetsam guys down to join us on stage. And we have also invited Sacred Reich. So it's really, we're really, celebrating all of the great thrash bands in the thrash genre and those who have really identified the Phoenix scene.
Definitely, yeah. You just named a couple of great bands here in the Phoenix scene. It's awesome that you're bringing out, just locals, let alone ones that have, succeeded and stomped their way through the music scene as well.
Yeah, I mean, Flotsam has probably one of their best records they've done in a long time. Just came out, and they're launching a tour coming up next month. Sacred Reich just finished a brand new record. And ironically, Dave McLean is their drummer, and he and Phil Demmel were both in Machine Head together. So it's kind of a cool way for them to reunite. They've been good friends, made a lot of music together. So this whole thing with Metal Legions is all about good friends making great music together.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great. Kind of go back a little. You said the core four. What made you decide to do not just the just a typical band of 4 members and not just stick with that, and now you want to bring a bunch of people on?
Well, I think, look, if to just go out and play some cover songs, which we had been doing with Metal Masters for a couple years.
Right.
And the first Metal Allegiance show technically was that on the motorboat cruise. But, we're all original artists and we're songwriters and we all have record deals, and that's the, what we've grown up knowing as professionals. So, I think when Mike Portnoy suggested we go to his house in Pennsylvania and write an album, we were all down for it, me and, the core 4, because that's what really defines you as an artist,
right.
is to write and create together. And the fact that we come from these different genres, I'm a thrash rock guy. Skolnick is a jazz thrash guy. Portnoy is a prog musician. And Mark Mengi, we didn't really know what he was because he was our friend. And so,
right.
but he brought in this kind of
he's just the oddball.
Yeah, he brought in this kind of mid-tempo Pantera / Black Sabbath swagger that really, it was a piece that the other 3 of us weren't doing. And so it was such a cool, collaboration between us. And the fact that we wrote really compelling music. And, first we write the songs.
Right.
And then we think about who we want to have sing it. This isn't, I think we're doing it the right way, because it's always about the music and the friendship, and then it's about adding sort of, the other people to contribute. This isn't something like where we sit around and go, wouldn't it be great if we could get all these famous guys? Oh yeah, then we need to write some songs. I think we do it the right way, and that it really, this thing, the 2 albums we put out, 2 albums in the EP, have really been based on really writing great music, and then from there getting the right voice. I'll look at inviting John Bush to sing on the song Bound by Silence, to get Max Cavalera to come in and collaborate with us on Voodoo of the Godsend. It's about really having the right pieces of the fabric, not just having someone who's famous.
Definitely, yeah. I think the first time I saw you guys was out at the Whiskey for that show, and it was a huge show. Great.
Yeah.
I think you had like 20 plus, people from all over different genres and bands coming on that one.
Yep. And that's what we like to do. We like to open it up and invite guests to come out. I mean, we have a set list, and it's organized, but it's
right.
nice when things happen. Like, we're one of the members of one of our favorite bands, UFO. Paul Raymond had just passed away over the weekend, and UFO has now since called it, they've retired. And, sometimes we, just like at the Whiskey, Lemmy had passed that week.
Right.
And we actually had a show at the Whiskey, and they asked us, hey, can you be the house band for a Lemmy tribute and have guests come up? We said, perfect. We are the perfect band for that.
Oh, definitely.
By our very design, that's kind of who we are as a group. So, we find these situations where it's nice to be able to play songs. Our EP was the Fallen Heroes, Metal Allegiance Fallen Heroes, and it was all honoring people who had passed, icons who had passed that year, and we put out this EP that honored those artists.
Very good, very good. So let's see. Let's get past this music stuff a little bit. If you didn't become a musician, what do you think you'd be doing in life today? Or what did you? I mean, because you've been, I guess, a musician for years. So,
if I hadn't become a musician, I'd still be trying to be a musician.
Well, there you go. Still trying to pursue your dreams, which is good.
Exactly.
If you had one message to give your fans, what do you think? What would it be that you give them?
Follow your passion, follow your dreams. There's I think for those of us who have become musicians and artists, whether we're full-time, part-time, or just hobbyists, creating is something that it just opens up another side to us. And being able to let people enjoy these things we create is just one of the greatest gifts a person could ever have. To be able to let develop fans that follow you and actually really embrace and support everything you do.
Right. So let's see. Let's go musicians wise. If you give some advice, some either locals or just musicians starting out or have been going for a while, what would you give them?
For local musicians, it's always about pay attention to what's happening in the room. Are people responding to what you're doing? Because if they're not, you might want to think about changing what you're doing. Lots of times artists get really bent on, this is my art and this is, I'll starve for my art. It's like, okay, I'll be ready to starve. You can tell. I've been in bands where things have worked and I've been in bands where they haven't. And you have to be honest with yourself. I've been in some bands that I thought they were a lot of fun. The music was really good, but for whatever reason, it just never connected with an audience. And I had to hang it up and move on from those things. And then I've been in some other groups where, you can just clearly see like, wow, this is really connecting. I mean, obviously Megadeth, Metal Allegiance. I played with Ronnie Montrose, Soulfly. The thing me and Frank Bello are doing from Anthrax, our band called Altitudes and Attitude. I mean, these things are connecting, and people are liking it. It's working. So you follow those. But so that's probably for local musicians. And the other thing kind of for all musicians, even famous guys, is, sometimes, you can be caught in your own golden handcuffs of your success.
Right.
And it gets harder to step out and do things that are collaborative and even creative outside of the comforts of your own wheelhouse. And I think, Metal Allegiance is a perfect example of that it's like, this is all about just saying yes and showing up and hanging out with your friends and a lot of fun and good music and goodwill and things that our fans enjoyed come out of that. So be prepared to just say yes and step out of your comfort zone once in a while.
Very, very, very good advice there. Appreciate it. What's been your favorite project so far to date, if you can think of anything, and why?
Well, most of these things, I don't really start things as projects. I start things with the intention of it being a band, being an entity, and I realize they can't all be full time.
Right.
But I moved to LA in hopes that something like Megadeth would happen. I didn't know what it would look like or sound like, and quite honestly, Megadeth was very forward thinking. It was very, very ahead of its time. And I had to kind of get behind the vision of what that was, but I believed in it from the beginning because it just felt like it was going to do something. Then there's other things that, I've gotten involved in that they just feel right at that time. And, so I think kind of everything I have going right now are things that I feel like I want to keep investing in and keep returning back to, because I feel like they really serve not just a place in my own life, but they serve a place in the music community.
Definitely. I mean, it seems like everything you've been doing lately, at least for the past couple of years, have been doing really great. Not just Metal Allegiance and Megadeth, but you also have your own coffee now, Ellefson Coffee Co.
Right. Yep.
You get your own label, EMP label group.
Right.
And it looks like both of those are going pretty well.
They are. And, those are always about partnership. I've got a partner, Tom, who works with me on that. We bring in other people that we partner with. And it's, as much as it may be my name on the door, there really is no such thing as a solo project, because there's always a team of people involved in it. And, my name gets people's attention, but, I certainly don't take credit for all of it, because, just like being in a band, it has to be collaborative.
Definitely. I mean, if everybody's not involved, or at least giving effort, or at least trying, then it probably won't make it, just like any band just trying to go on a road or anything. Everybody has to be a team.
Yep. And the same holds true for business ventures as well as bands.
Definitely. Anything else you'd like to share about the either upcoming show or tour, or anything else you'd like to plug in?
I think that's about it for right now. I mean, I just announced last week, I announced my new memoir, More Life with Death, and a solo album that's going to be coming out along with that called Sleeping Giants. That's going to be coming out in July. So maybe you and I can circle back and talk on that at another time. You got my info here. So if you want to reach to me, feel free to do so. But, maybe you want to just throw that in as sort of upcoming stuff. Obviously Megadeth, we've got, some shows coming up in August. We've got the Mega Cruise in October. So if you want to maybe throw those couple of things in there, you could.
Definitely. Well, cool. Dave, I appreciate you taking the time out again.
Yep. You're welcome, Ben.
Look forward to seeing you on Wednesday night out at the Van Buren. And
Yeah.
hopefully it's going to be a great show, man.
We'll see you then. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you much, sir.
See you, Adam. Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.